I got the valves lapped on the block and head. So then I've spent like the last week cleaning this thing, scrubbing it down, trying to get the bores nice and clean. You can see that cross hatching way sharper now. Before you could barely tell it's there. Now it's nice and clear. So it's looking good. Yeah, I tried to clean out all the oil galleys and all the bores absolutely as best as I can. I will clean the bores out again once I get ready to put the pistons in. Yeah, and then I took a torch and some MAP gas and ran over the entire outside of the block. So I saw somewhere that'll burn oil out of the surface of the metal and make the paint stick better. I don't know if it works or not. I figured I'd try it. So yeah, I think we're gonna get it masked and try spraying it with some Detroit green. Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. Look at the freedom. Ah, man.
That's the spot.
Yeah, you'll have that on these big jobs.
Check this out right here, homie. Oh yeah, here we go. This is where we get the smooth roll.
No, we're not Haggerty. We're not gonna stop motion this.
You're gonna stop motion the masking tape?
No. Although that was a pretty clean pull.
That was pretty clean.
So we have the Hurricane on the stand. It is painted with Detroit green, so it looks super sick.
Minty.
Hopefully a little extra torque because of that. We got main bearings in place along there and in the caps. And we got a crankshaft cleaned. So,
And it is mic'd.
yes.
We did that the other day, make sure it is round.
I mean, it's hip to be square, but cranks should be round.
That's right.
I don't know if I can do this without
the honors.
dropping it. So what happens if I drop it?
You start over.
Goes in there. Remember,
Clean,
remember,
dude.
folks, never assemble things dry. First step, put it together dry, and make sure all the oil is gone. You know, rotate that so those oil holes aren't gonna be wearing plastic gauging.
Good idea.
And then you're gonna need some plastic gauge. Alright, so we're putting the main caps, hold this crank in. You gotta, when building engines, it's very important to torque everything to spec.
Very important.
Click, click. Click, click. Click, click. Click, click. So we got fresh pistons, 30 over. New pins, and I got all the rods and caps and hardware cleaned up. So I'm going to start getting that stuff assembled. Let's do it. You got to find the oil spray hole on the base of the connecting rod, and that goes away from the T-slot inside of the piston. So those are opposite each other. So I'm going to do oil spray hole that way. T-slot away from the oil hole. We got our pin, which needs to be lubricated. Start this in the piston with the bolt groove down. Right. Make sure it's the right direction. And then you'll just need to make sure the pin is centered, put your bolt in the bottom, and then we'll get to torquing it. Alright, one thing I forgot to do, the manual doesn't say to do this, but if you take a steel wedge or something of that like, and kind of hammer it into that slot in the rod, just a little bit, and it'll kind of open that up and make it where your pin can slide in and out very easily, and that'll make it easier to install, and then you can also rotate the pin to get the bolt lined up. So I forgot to do that on this first one. I'll do that on the rest, and I will just do this now so I can get the bolt in. But little extra tip. Alright, I got that bolt put in, pulled my wedge out. So now here's where it gets interesting, because you need a crowfoot on your torque wrench in order to actually reach in there. So you have to then do some mathematicalness. That's what I did. Your torque spec is supposed to be, it's supposed to be like 35 to 41s. I did 37 to meet in the middle, multiplied by the distance from your center of your head to wherever the torque point is of your torque wrench, over that distance plus the distance from the center of here to the center of your bolt in your crowfoot, so however much length that adds, and that'll give you your final torque. So for me it's 34. I got the head here, freshly painted, looks good. I got the new valves, new springs, reusing retainers and locks, new seals. So I already got the valves lapped, so it's just a matter of assemblage now. So I'm going to put a little lubricant on the stem, cylinder 1. Hopefully that is a good viewpoint for my friends back home. Now we need the springs, which are, one side has coils tighter than the other side, so that is going to go towards the block, or towards the head in this case. And then a retainer. Gotta get this set up here. Takes a little while on the first one to get this all set up correctly, and that we did. So now, with that compressed, we can put our new O-ring seal. Put a little grease around there. That'll hold the locks in place. Alright, then this up. Alright, next we're gonna put lifters in, so gonna lube them up and make sure you get them in the right cylinder and in the right exhaust and intake. camshaft lubed and going in. Cam container thing, add some bolts, and then I'll get that torqued down. I ended up pulling this gear out, pulling the cam out, because I could not get the timing gear put on, and my friend took it down to his shop and used a press and put the gear on. So now I just put the cam back in with fresh lube, so it is good to go. And next step will be crankshaft. Alright, so we're going to put this in. And I've heard that you're supposed to leave about 3/8 or 1/2 inch up on one side. And then like that, and then the other, you'll match that on the other side in your cap, and that'll help those where it's split, help that seal better. So rear main seal is in place. I have it, put some light engine oil on it, so when the crank goes in, initial spins over, it doesn't dry and burns that off. Assembly lube on the bearing shells. I put a very small amount of gasket maker on the very back of this main cap, just so oil doesn't seep down through there. When you go to put your crank in, make for sure that you have the flywheel bolts in place. Once the crank is in, the only way to get those bolts in is to take the rear main cap off, which isn't a huge deal, but it kind of sucks. Now I have to make sure I get these timing gears lined up, which will be tricky. Timing marks are aligned. I have these rubber dowels that go on the back on the rear main, so you want to put those in to make sure that's straightened, and put a little bit of gasket maker on the bottom end. Slide those in, make sure they're down all the way, and you should have about 1/4 inch sticking up. And what happens is when you put your pan on, that will push that down and compress it and force the outside out and seal it. So crankshaft is in, torque's down. I threw the front pulley on and torqued that nut down, and then did the check the end play. So basically you put a dial indicator on the front of this, and stick a pry bar or something down in here, push it forward and back, and we had about 5 thousandths, so that is perfectly within spec. So I'm going to pull this off, and then pull that pulley back off, and put the timing cover on. So I got a new seal pressed into there. So we got pistons on rods, and now it's time to put rings on. So I got it chucked up in the vise, and we're gonna put some rings on. Well, I found a problem with the engine. It's got these holes in it. Like 4 of them. It's stupid. So, we're going to fill those holes with these handy dandy pistons, rods, and ring assembly. That's going to go in there. And then they go up and down and they go boom boom and hopefully don't yeet out the side. Let's get her done. Alright, we got pistons and rods installed, so that is groovy. And then we got the lip pan put on. Next up, I got the fresh valves and springs, and we're using roto caps and locks. So I'm going to, valves are already lapped from before, so I'm going to get those installed in here. So we got the exhaust valves installed. Springs and stuff all looking super cool. I just put the oil pump on. So you're supposed to do that before the timing cover is on so you can use the timing gears. I just put it at TDC, and then you can, I primed filter on the bench, just put some oil in, spun it around, refilled it, spun it around. And then you put it in, and if you start it out to where the down in there, the distributor drive, if you started at 9:30, put it in, that should be at 11 o'clock with the fat side to that way. And then have my new distributor, which can go in. And it is pointing at roughly the 5 o'clock position, slightly below, but that'll be close enough to hit number 1 cylinder right there. So that is good. And now the distributor is in. One step closer to the treasure, gentlemen. Please don't blow up. We're ready for the cylinder head. So this was already prepared like y'all saw with valves and springs. And I got a gasket, so that is going to go on. We have head gasket. This is more gooder.
Professional engine man.
Oh, you know it's fun. Alright, head is on, torqued down through 3 steps, and then since this is held on by head bolts, also got the oil filter on and got it finished, stickered up, so that looks super cool. And yeah, next up, gonna assemble the intake rocker assembly and get that put on. Alright, we got the dipstick put in, we got the alternator, water pump, put the fan blade on, got that oil line, and now, probably the coolest component. Oh, brother. That looks sick. So, I still got that valve flash, but that is basically it for this. The rest of the parts will go on once it's in the frame. So, we'll see y'all next time.